This is another conspiracy one. I don't know if you said, I had never heard this one from Greg Locke, but here we go.
Of course we've been lied to by the government. Okay, I get that. Of course you can fake pictures. I get that. Do I believe we went to the moon? No. And you ought to sue your brain for non-support if you do believe we went to the moon. Nobody ever went to the moon. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. 50 years and we ain't been back, got more technology in your hand that they had to send a rocket up 50 years ago. Of course, we've never been to the moon, okay? Him and all these Twitter people, okay, we've never been to the moon, so go ahead and clip it and get me a Newsweek this week, whatever. Shut up.
All right, this is church. I want to remind everyone, this is a church sermon.
Is he joking? Is this like a comedy bit?
It works as a comedy bit. Like Greg Locke actually works great. If you think of this as a comedy bit, it's solid gold. But no, this is his. People are cheering. They are cheering. I listen. Whether you think we went to the moon or not, we did, by the way. But whether you think we went to the moon or not, if I'm in church and the pastor starts ranting about us not, it's like, where am I? Well, what's going on? Why are we talking about this? What does this have to do with church at all? And yeah, I don't know. Had you run across that one?
No, I don't even have words to form.
just a normal Sunday at Greg Locke's church. When I talk about the fucking moon landing,
You just don't know what inspired that.
I know. I would like to see the build up to that. Like what exactly made him talk about? Oh, go ahead. What?
Oh no, I'm just in shock over here.
Yeah. What made him talk about the moon landing for 45 seconds and going on? And the moon landing's another.
The moon landing wasn't even that far after we created the atomic bomb. Like
no,
the technology, like
that's a great point. The atom bomb was way bigger of a scientific advancement than the moon landing. You're right. That is a fantastic point. One is a lot more difficult than the other. Yeah,
I don't even have words.
It's one of, now I will say, when it comes to wild conspiracies like the moon landing and the flat earth, I can there is at least there's like some sort of like motivation why you can say why the government would lie about the moon landing. I can see like there compared to flat earth, where there's none whatsoever. Because for those of you who weren't around for it, like both of us, but the space race back in the late 60s, it was never about what people thought it was about how cool it is that we were in outer space. The space race, I know, right? The space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was all about military power. It was showing who could have dominance over space and threaten the other with more intimidation. Yeah. And getting to the moon was the ultimate sign of that. Now, up until the moon landing, the Soviets were kicking our ass. The Soviets had the first satellite. They had the first animal in space. They had the first human being in space. I think they were the first to orbit Earth. We were getting fucking smoke, but goddamn United States of America, at the last second, we had a buzzer beater and got to the moon first. Yeah, we got the big victory at getting to the moon, which is
did we go to the moon? I don't know.
Did we really? And see, this is actually where I go to, is that you know who had all the motivation imaginable to discredit our moon landing and the technology to do it? The Soviets. The Soviets they were watching us like a hawk. And you know what? They said, oh, all right, United States got that. They never said, oh, nope, they actually didn't. Here's our evidence. They would be first in line to do it. And you know what? They never did. And ever since then, as other nations have gotten more technologically advanced, they could have proven it too, and they didn't. And they're like, yep, turns out it's real. And that's what this all comes down to, is that, look, I try to, this is what I try to do with people all the time. When there is this growing, I do understand this growing sentiment of suspicion, cynicism. That's the word, cynicism, because the government does lie all the time. They do. That's not a surprise. Every government does. It's every human history. Anyone in a position of power is going to take the chance to lie to you. So it's fine to be cynical of government and any power structure. You should be. However, you can't just leave it there, which is what a lot of people do. And they'll say, well, the government lies all the time. Why wouldn't they lie about the moon landing? That's not how you find out if something is true. You use other, concurrent sources of evidence and information to find out if the claim is consistent with reality. So you look at the fact that every space agency, every fucking university, every scientist, every engineer, they're all like, yes, the moon landing happened. Now you have to think that there's this conspiracy of thousands of people, and like everyone who worked at NASA, like every rocket engineer over the last 70 years. And they've all kept their mouth shut about it. When they had every incentive to actually, bring this forward. No, sorry, the moon landing happened, and they couldn't tell you anything about it. But that's always a weird conspiracy too. But it's not quite as weird as the flat Earth. That one's a lot weirder. But I just I
don't understand how people can actually believe in a flat Earth theory when there's literally pictures of the solar system.
Well, they faked it. That's what it is. They faked it. It's like if they faked the pictures of the Earth and the planets, they faked everything else. There's no evidence you can show them because it's all fake. You can see. I was having an argument with a flat earther.
My head hurt.
I was having an argument with a flat earther like last year. I ran across two in the same room, believe it or not. But he was saying I was getting my hair cut, and one of them mentioned they didn't believe in the flat Earth, in the round Earth, and mine was blown. And the guy cutting my hair, he didn't believe the Earth was round either. And so I had like a 45-minute conversation about how we can know the Earth. It was wild. But I was what was I saying? What's he just talking about?
Sorry,
about being able to prove it was round and it was good too. Oh, I remember pictures. And so I was telling them that, the International Space Station is orbiting the Earth, and there's a 24-hour live stream where they go around the Earth. You can see it. Like, you can watch that the Earth. He's like, yeah, I've seen those videos. And, they say the Earth is moving 1,000 miles an hour. Looks pretty slow to me. And I was like, are you shitting me? I just like, it's huge, right? It's a very simple answer. It is the simplest answer imaginable. But he's like, I don't know, it looks pretty slow. It's like, oh, you're a moron. I remember asking,
do you want it to go faster? Like, do you want to feel like?
Yeah, if you saw a car going 1,000 miles an hour, it'd be really fast. So I guess a planet moving at 1,000 miles an hour must be fast too. Like, that's what they think.
Billions of people on it.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, planes move at like 500 miles an hour. Does it look like they're moving 500 miles in the sky? No, because the scale is massive. The same thing with planet Earth. And I brought up that I said, well, why is the moon upside down in Australia? Is what I brought up to them, and he's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah. If you look at a picture of the moon in Australia, it's inverted from the way it is here in the northern hemisphere. If the Earth is flat, how is that possible?" Like, "Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting." I was like, "Yeah, it is pretty interesting because the Earth's fucking round. That's why." So
do flat earthers just think that, like, if you cut the globe in half and lay it out, that's what it is? Like, would you not fall off of?
They think that Earth is like a pizza, and so they brought up the firmament. So in the book of Genesis, it talks about the firmament for the sky, and firmament. You'll see this in a lot of ancient societies where because you've never seen the word firmament before, right? Like, it's like the only time you ever see the word firmament. And what a firmament refers to is like a snow globe. And so, like, it's like a solid object. That's why it's called firm. And you can see a reference to in Genesis where it says the windows of heaven were open, where they opened the windows of the firmament to allow the waters that were above the heavens to fall. And like, it's an ancient philosophy for a flat Earth, and they believe it. They're like, yeah, there's a firmament, and that's why. And I remember asking, what's the firmament made out of? Which is very funny because they don't know. They don't know what it is, and they don't believe in gravity. They think that, which news to me. I didn't know they didn't believe in gravity, and I asked about that, and I was like, okay, well, why do things fall? Like, why do objects fall? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, if you take something on a table, you push it off, it falls to the ground. Why does that happen? And they're like, well, of course it falls. Like, yeah, I know it falls. Like, of course, you've seen it every day, but what is the force acting on the object to make it fall? And his answer was density. I was like, well, density is involved. And I found out later that he just didn't know the flat Earth theory. I had to read about this, but they believe that gravity is not real and that the reason objects fall is that objects are all seeking their relative density. And so since this pen is more dense than the air, it's seeking the relative density of the ground, which is an interesting theory, but it doesn't work for a lot of reasons. But the main reason it doesn't explain like the rotation of the planets and gravity. I had to go over 8th grade fucking science with this guy and talk about how, objects are all attracted essentially to the center of the Earth. That you have to imagine that the center of the Earth has like a bungee cord attached to everything on planet Earth, and that everything falls towards the center of the Earth at roughly 9.8 meters per second squared. And that applies to everything on the Earth, including the Earth itself, which means that everything is drawn to a central location, and that's why it's round. And that explains why the planets are round, explains the moon, the sun. It explains why everything goes around the sun, why the moon goes around the Earth. This math answers everything. I was like, I've yet to hear anything you say account for any of that shit. Of course, I just like stuff you should literally learn in 8th grade. People blame the school systems. No, they just didn't pay attention. That's it.
Insane.
Insanity. All right. We ran off of Greg Locke here. I forgot what this one he's about.
He just used so much material.
Who, Greg Locke?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I forgot what this one even was, but let me see. What's he have to say?
I've been right about all of it. We've been right about all of it.
I'm gonna see if I can get this a little louder. I don't think I can hear him. I'm gonna see if I can turn it up a little bit.
Oh yes. Yes! These wicked fools don't win in the end. They don't win in the end. So all this fear bull crap is that. It is bull crap. Say amen. I know you've never been to a church where a pastor told you to say amen after I said bull crap. It's better than what I want to say.
All things being fair, that was a funny line. And when he said it's better than what I want to say, that was a funny line.
A little bit of humility. I'll give him that.
That was funny. All right. So.
I call it real BS. Biblical stupidity. Biblical stupidity. So I know I wasn't going to say nothing about it, but I think I feel froggy enough. I'm going to jump right now and just say this.
Not froggy.
I am not apologizing for what I said on this platform last week. The Delta variant was nonsense then. It is nonsense now. You will not wear masks in this church. You will not wear masks in this church. I'm telling you right now, do not get vaccinated. Do not get vaccinated. I don't care what you think about me. I don't need your money. I don't need your hand clap. I don't need more people on social media to follow me. I ain't following along with it. Joe Biden's days are numbered. I said they're numbered. I've told you the whole time this election was fraudulent. We got so much proof. The only people that can deny it are crack-smoking, demon-possessed leftists. Whoa, I'm about to tear his whole pulpit in half.
All right, that's a reasonable.
It's really just his antics for me. He's like a toddler on a sugar high.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it. Yes.
He's like tapping and running around and like hopping and skipping and jumping and then he's up and then he's like.
They eat it up though. They eat it up.
That was too much.
They eat it up. I like that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said I cannot.
I like that he said he doesn't need more people to follow him on social media. Folks, he absolutely does. That he wants that. There's nothing. He loves social media attention more than he loves his own children. I guarantee. Like there's nothing Greg Locke wants more.
I wonder how many followers he has. I'm gonna look while we discuss.
Greg Locke, how many followers Greg Locke has right now? I remember he mentioned in some video, and this is like 4 years ago. I think the video I saw. And he had 1.5 million Facebook followers or subscribers. I don't know where he's at these days, but I imagine I actually haven't seen a lot from him lately. Have you?
No, but I'm not on a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot from him. Or
he has 226,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know if he has a TikTok. The wild. I don't even know. Okay.
Yeah.
6,000.
What I also liked is him talking, but he said, yeah, this is another conspiracy one that I like. the mask conspiracy. Because look, it's one thing if you want to have a discussion on the efficacy of masks, especially like regular cloth masks, like the ones that aren't what an N95 mask, and how effective they are in actually blocking viruses, because they're not super effective, and it's better than nothing, but not as effective as a lot of people like to think. Whereas like it slows it down, but it's not. There's nothing that's foolproof. However, like I like people who said that the masks were like Greg Locke said that this is. Oh no, actually, I think it's another one. Hold on, that might be another one I'm thinking about. Let me see if I can pull this up, because that might be another video where he talks about this. But what you'll hear a lot of people say is that the masks aren't about actually stopping the spread of the disease. The masks are just like it's a test to see how compliant you are. Have you heard that, Kai?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking
People
of.
should just be able to live their best lives.
What was that?
I just think people should be able to do whatever brings them joy. Oh.
I'm not bowing down. I am not in compliance. I am in utter defiance of this. Listen, I'll go to jail over this situation. It is the golden calf. I'm sick of Christians saying things like this. Well, it's just a mask. You know what they used to say? Oh, it's just a baby. It's just a zygote. It's just a growth in the mother's womb. So let's kill it. No, it's not just a mask. It's a compliance device. This is not about safety. This is about surrendering of our rights. Can I remind you, this is still the United States of America. This is not communism. This is not China. This ain't North Korea. I don't live in Haiti. I don't live some other country somewhere where I'm under the guise of communism and socialism. This is the United States of America. Y'all hear me? Trump 2020.
Okay, that was actually what I was thinking of. And it actually dovetails right into the other one too. But this idea that, I know, right? That this idea that masks are this test that the government wants to see how compliant you are. They want to see if you'll do what they tell you to do. It's like, folks, you will. You will. You know why? Because you already do. Like, listen, the government knows where you live. It knows where you were born. It knows where you work. It knows your birthday. It has a specific number assigned to you. It knows where you went to school. The government knows who you're fucking. They know everything about you. The government,
Yes.
the police can kill you for any reason, anytime they feel like it, and a court will exonerate them because all a cop has to say is, I felt my life was in danger. That's it. Like it works 99% of the time, and the cop will be exonerated. It happens all the time. The United States Army, the United States military, like imposes its will at the point of a gun on 800 military bases around the planet. And listen, and you still pay your taxes every year like a good little fucking citizen. You still do it. You still do it. And so, like people talk about the government, oh, well, if it becomes tyrannical, already is. And like, they don't need to do a test of making you wear a mask, see how compliant you are. They already know you're compliant. They already fucking know.
Well, it's like the I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was talking about like how much data the government actually has on you.
Yeah.
Because when you agree to all these apps and stuff, like people don't actually read the terms and conditions, and you don't actually like know what you're agreeing to. And I think it's Google. There's one big conglomerate. I can't remember the name, but they were saying that like every night at like 2 a.m. your phone does like a data dump, like to the like big tech company that like whichever one it is. I can't remember if it's Meta. I can't remember if it's Google. I'll have to find it. But it was talking about how like every night at 2 a.m. it does a whole data dump of like what was your search history, like things that were talked about, like blah blah blah. Like, if you think that like the masks are going to be the undoing, then like I need you to be a little more caught up on like the blob.
Right? Like a universe in which the government enacted like the Patriot Act, to find out everything you've done. Yeah, trust me, the mask, they already know who's compliant and who's not. They already know. You're listening to this, you're compliant. And this one isn't necessarily the government, but what you said about go ahead, sorry.
And no, you're right. Because sure, you can say the mask is like a compliance thing. No one's actually making you wear one. I mean, like, sure, if you want to take commercial aircraft, or at least it used to,
I know. Yeah.
or whatever, but like, I lived in Italy during the pandemic and they made you wear masks. Like, I lived in Italy during the pandemic and they made us not leave our houses. And then I would see my American friends complaining that they were
Bitching,
recommended
just
something, and I was like,
whining. I just
do you
right.
have to wait in line outside to go to the grocery store? Or
It's
do you have to carry paperwork on you to prove that you have to go to work because you're mission essential? No, because I do. And so, like, if you think that masks are like the undoing of your freedom,
Americans are the
regardless
biggest
of how you
babies.
feel about the topic, regardless of how you feel about the topic and the efficacy of masks,
Right.
you
They're the
think that
biggest
that's
fucking
the
babies.
single point.
Yeah, they can't. It's like Americans, like they talk about the lockdowns as if we had like a year or so. There was like a month or two where you could actually say we actually shut shit down. But that was by state, by the way. It wasn't even like in all 50 states where you couldn't get a haircut. A lot of places, like you had to work from home, or like when you're shopping, you had a sign that said please wear a mask and everything. Though you couldn't get a haircut. That was something. But it's like people went through like 3 months of inconvenience and they still haven't stopped complaining about it. You had to like some places made you bring like if you went to like a concert, they're like, yeah, we need to make sure you're vaccinated before you come into this arena of thousands of people. And like, no, and the riot in the street of it is just like they're the biggest babies on planet Earth.
They really are, because as someone who lived overseas in a country that was so strict, I can tell you firsthand that Americans had no idea how good they had it.
Right.
I got yelled at by the Carabinieri one time for being on my porch by myself.
What are they called?
Back
What was
in your house, and
by
I was
who?
like, the Italian police. I was like, what? But I'm outside by myself. Okay. And Americans want to be like, rare. And I'm like, no one's actually forcing you. Like, I have to carry paperwork to prove that I'm allowed. Like, they had checkpoints. Like, you couldn't even go, like, do anything without having been vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least in the US, you had more of a choice. You didn't really if you lived in Europe, regardless of how you feel about it. Personal freedom. Like, whatever you want to say. Like, so my point isn't getting into that. My point is, like, if you think masks were like the undoing, good Lord. Like,
I know. It's like, it's, well, first I want to say,
fucking mask. Don't wear it.
I love that. Well, they would say that, Costco makes me wear one. All right. Costco also had options where you could order it and they bring it outside to you. Like there was a contingency. If you didn't want to wear a mask, you could be just fine. But no, they just like, you know what it is? It's just selfishness. Americans can't imagine sacrificing for the greater good. We've lost that. It is gone. Like it is just like, oh, this doesn't benefit me. Fuck you. It's not happening.
And they
just
want to complain all the time.
They do just want to complain.
They have no idea how good they have it.
I know. It's just so wild.
And it's always the people who have never traveled outside the U.S. that want to complain. And you're like,
yes, it's like fucking small business owners, and like people are just whining and shit. Like your life is fine, and yeah, you're right. Because like you've been in Asia, I don't know, like at flu season, like in Japan and China, everyone just wears a mask because it's Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Like no one complains about it. It's just it's just the way of life.
Yeah, it's kind of like a poisonous result of our like cult of individualism, which was like it's Americans, like when it was first settled, like it was like a frontier and stuff, and so everyone, like, we've passed down this every man for themselves type of mentality, and it's pretty toxic to building a society. Like, because when everyone is only thinking about them and not their neighbors, it's kind of dangerous. And I want to say real quick before I forget, I do love the name of foreign police forces. I love them. Foreign police forces are really cool names, like the Federales and the Gendarmes and
Italian police have like 5 different kinds.
Oh, interesting.
They have like the Carabinieri, then they have like their own version of the FBI, and they have their own special forces that are like the marshals / like SWAT. The Germans have what, the Polizei?
Yeah, police. Yeah, some of the Z in there. I don't know how to say it. Yeah.
Oh, and they're intense.
Yeah, well, it's German. I mean, the language itself is just terrifying. It's just like it's such a scary language. Before I even knew who Hitler was, like as a kid, German was a scary ass language. Like whenever I heard the Germans talk, it always scared me. And I can't believe that English is related to German, because like English is a decent sounding language, but German is horrifying. But